That's what I did. I put Lomachenko in the top 10 after his first fight.
So backwards. They hate black people. I go 12 rounds with a fighter. Oh, he's so boring. Lomachenko go 12 rounds with somebody. Oh, he's the Matrix. The Matrix. I never seen nothing like him. Crazy.
Whoa, I'm tired. I can't go crazy. Oh, Shakur. Let's go. We're good. All right. Okay. Shakur. Because that's what you got. You got a lot. After watching a little bit of it, I made a note to myself. I said, now I know what the youngest pound-for-pound fighter and future great looks like. Because they told me. And if they tell me, I have to listen to them. Someone with talent, terrific talent, no power, and he doesn't keep you awake if you're tired. He helps you. You know, he helps you. He's not maybe as good as Simonex, but he's not gonna get your blood going where you're gonna say, "Oh wow, I can't sleep now." You know, he's not the most exciting fighter in the world. Very efficient, very effective, and you would probably be tired anyway if you were watching him on ESPN because it's midnight.
Pernell Whitaker and Roy Jones did all the same things, and like Mayweather, they rose to the top rung on the pound-for-pound ladder for significant periods in their careers. But fans want something else. Fans want fighters who take risks to please them, who understand that the passion play is more moving than the clinical exercise, who are willing to come into harm's way to try to do harm. That's what Oscar De La Hoya has given to boxing through the whole second half of his career, ever since he moved to welterweight, with the exception of those poignantly unforgettable last 5 rounds versus Felix Trinidad.
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? So as you guys can see, the clip I just played for you guys, Jim Lampley, HBO's Jim Lampley, he's saying pretty much the exact same thing that Teddy Atlas is saying about Shakur Stevenson. But Jim Lampley, he made sure he included almost all of the most gifted, talented pound-for-pound kings that happen to all be black, coincidentally. At least all of the black pound-for-pound kings in recent decades. Jim Lampley, he said, even though all of these fighters became pound-for-pound #1, the best fighters in the world, according to Jim, fans didn't want that. The fans wanted Oscar De La Hoya. Well, Jim, if that were true, how come no one's offering Oscar De La Hoya $20 million to do exhibitions in Japan or Dubai? How come no one is paying Oscar De La Hoya $1 million just to show up for a press conference? Because that's what they do for Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather was invited to Russia to do an open training session and broke a Guinness World Record when it comes to how many students showed up to participate. And mind you, this is in Russia. These are Russian students. How come Oscar De La Hoya is not being invited to these open training sessions in Russia? How come he's not the one breaking the records when it comes to students showing up just to learn something in the ring from Oscar De La Hoya? Jim Lampley was right about something. When he said, that's not what fans want to see, he's actually right about that, or at least partially right. Because when he says that's not what fans want to see, he's talking about racist fans like him and Teddy Atlas and the rest of old media. The things that Jim Lampley and Larry Merchant, I didn't even play the clip of what Larry Merchant said. You guys had already knew his rep. But the things that they said about Floyd Mayweather, Teddy Atlas, he said the same things about Floyd Mayweather. Now, once again, pay attention to the pattern. You notice, while Jim Lampley said no one wants to see Floyd Mayweather, Roy Jones, Pernell Whitaker, he admitted that they were pound for pound the best fighters in the world in their era. And then when you listen to what Teddy Atlas said, one of the first things he implied is Shakur Stevenson is a pound for pound talent. But then he caps it off by saying, but he puts me to sleep. He says he's not the most exciting fighter. But guys, the most exciting fighter in the sport of boxing today is Gervonta Tank Davis. So when Teddy Atlas bases his entire analysis on being boring or exciting, how come Teddy Atlas has never said that Gervonta Tank Davis is the most exciting or even one of the most exciting fighters after one of Tank's knockouts? I mean, let Teddy Atlas tell it. The biggest factor in a boxing match is the excitement factor. Not how dominant you are, not how consistent you are. Teddy Atlas is only looking for style points, which is so ironic because in sports like football and basketball, people like Teddy Atlas, they actually try to take credit away from the black athletes that are very stylish. In those sports, old media is often trying to praise the football player or the basketball player that is very basic but consistent. If you have a black quarterback, for example, that is extremely athletic and he can run just as well as a running back or a receiver, meaning he can do way more than a traditional quarterback who just stands there and throws the ball, old media in those sports, they try to discredit those black quarterbacks. So style points means nothing to them when it comes to those sports, even though those style points actually show up on the scoreboard and makes a difference. When it comes to Larry Bird in the NBA, he wasn't known for fancy slam dunks and fancy crossovers. Everything was straight up and down when it came to Larry Bird. Just shoot the ball and score points, right? All they wanted to see Larry Bird do was win, win, win no matter what. They wanted to see him win as many championships as possible. They didn't care about the style points at all. But when it comes to boxing, all of a sudden now, being the most dominant fighter, being the most flawless fighter, being the most consistent fighter is not enough. They want to see some pizzazz. They want to see some style. They want to see some street ball. At least let them tell it. The truth is, they don't care about excitement, and I'm going to prove that to you guys. The only thing they care about is who's winning and who's losing. I mean, do you guys really think it is a coincidence that only the most dominant black fighter in the entire sport of boxing is often called boring? The fighters that usually get compared to Floyd Mayweather, Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, are the fighters that are being called boring by these non-black fans in particular, old media. But like I just said, I'm going to prove to you guys that this has nothing to do with entertainment, excitement. They don't care about that at all. Those are just code words when they're calling these black fighters boring. Let me go ahead and present Exhibit A. So, of course, by now, you guys already know that Lomachenko, he did not let his hands go pretty much at all in the first 6 rounds against Lopez. But did you know there were rounds in that fight where Lomachenko literally went like a good 2 minutes straight without throwing any single punch? Right before I started making this video, I went back and looked at the Lomachenko versus Lopez fight, and I just randomly scrolled through the fight. I was looking for a place to just stop, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to count the seconds and the minutes Lomachenko went without throwing a single punch. So I started at the 5th round, the opening of the 5th round, and I counted almost 2 whole minutes that Lomachenko went without throwing a single punch. Guys, by way of contrast, Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson, they have never gone 30 seconds. Hell, they've never gone 15 seconds without throwing a single meaningful punch. Lomachenko went minutes at a time without throwing a punch, let alone a meaningful one. Now, I want you guys to listen to a little bit of what they were saying as they were calling the fight, ESPN that is. Or maybe I shouldn't say ESPN because it was really mainly just Tim Bradley.
That's been the story so far in this fight. Lomachenko doing a lot of movement, a lot of defense, but keeping that body exposed.
When you're facing a guy in Lopez, who's strong, powerful, twitchy, like we said. You got to take some steam out of those punches in order to put yourself in a position where it's safer to let your offense go. But right now, it's not safe enough for Loma to let his hands go, and that's why he's not throwing a lot.
Well, he got to throw some punches if he gonna take some steam off a fighter. Throw some punches, throw something down to the body. Has he landed a body shot?
Okay, now listen to what Teddy Atlas was saying when he was actually watching this fight.
Because there's only one guy throwing.
I was going to say, I don't think Loma's thrown more than 1 or 2 punches.
And the jab has bothered him. And it's hard for Loma to get where he wants to get to, which is close enough, being the shorter, guy as far as height and length, to get close enough to do anything. It's hard to get there because of that jab, because of the way that Lopez is controlling range with the jab and even with his feet. Every once in a while, taking a little step back. And you can see he's the bigger guy, Ken. Oh, my goodness.
Much
goodness.
bigger.
So peep the dichotomy. When Shakur Stevenson was the aggressor, especially in the first 6 or 7 rounds, Shakur was trying to knock Robson out. So while Shakur Stevenson is the aggressor and he's constantly punching, like I said, he never went 10 seconds without throwing punches against Robson Kasekau. And according to Teddy Atlas, that's what actually put him to sleep. Meanwhile, as Teddy Atlas is watching the Lomachenko fight, he's admitting that Lomachenko is not punching at all. And he's doing a whole lot of moving away, what race fans would usually call running. And when Loma is not throwing any punches at all, does Teddy Atlas call him boring? Of course not, because like I told you guys, Teddy never cared about a fighter being boring or entertaining. The only thing Teddy cares about is if his fighter is winning. And because his fighter is not winning, what does he do when he sees Lomachenko not throwing punches? He tries to justify it. He tries to make excuses for Lomachenko. So according to Teddy, he was wide awake when he was watching Lomachenko not throw any punches. But he was falling asleep when Shakur Stevenson was throwing punches? That's because when he was watching the Lomachenko fight, there was the fear of his guy Lomachenko losing. So now his eyes are glued to the TV, hoping that Lomachenko turns things around. And that's what he waits for the entire night, which keeps him wide awake. So what does Teddy say when Lomachenko is going minutes at a time, not throwing any punches at all? He says Loma couldn't punch because of Lopez's jab. Then he starts saying, oh my God, look at how big Lopez is. Much, much bigger. But yet when Floyd Mayweather, who made a career at fighting against guys much bigger than him, at least when he was at the welterweight division, the majority of Floyd's opponents were 15 to 20 pounds bigger than him. Much bigger than Lopez was over Lomachenko. And Teddy Atlas never praised Floyd Mayweather for fighting these big guys, saying, oh my God, look at Maidana, he's huge. Man, look at how big Canelo Alvarez is. He's never said anything like that because Teddy Atlas felt the same way about Floyd Mayweather that he feels about Shakur Stevenson. Teddy Atlas, he said he doesn't even have Floyd Mayweather ranked in his top 20 when it comes to greatest fighters of all time. But when it came to Lomachenko, he said after Loma's first fight as a pro, he had Loma in his top 10. Just think about that. After his first fight, which coincidentally was right before he lost his second fight. But if Teddy had Loma ranked that high after his first fight, just imagine how high he ranks him now after all the fights he's had. And listen, it is impossible. There is no way Teddy Atlas can name 20 fighters that is greater than Floyd Mayweather. He can't name 5 fighters that's greater than Floyd Mayweather when it comes to overall skill, dominance, resume, longevity, IQ, defense, and offense. You know, it's funny because when you hear old media say that Floyd Mayweather is the best defensive fighter, that's obviously meant to be a gross backhand compliment. But if you notice, every single time they call Floyd Mayweather the best defensive fighter, they never tell you who the best offensive fighter is. And they can't do that because most likely they're going to say someone who is nowhere near as accomplished as Floyd Mayweather. The truth is, Floyd Mayweather is also the best offensive fighter because the way you rate defense is off of the percentage of a person getting hit, right? Same thing applies for offense. If you land a higher percent of punches than any other fighter, that makes you the best offensive fighter, and especially against the level of opposition that Floyd was in the ring with. We're not talking about flat-footed fighters that have no defense and just come forward. Floyd Mayweather has been in the ring with every different type of style, compared to the majority of the greats that often fought one type of style. So there's no way Teddy Atlas can name 5 fighters that is greater than Floyd Mayweather. Now, just to give you guys a little bit more of Teddy Atlas' credentials. Teddy Atlas, he also at one point, when Andre Ward and Terrence Crawford were fighting in their prime on the top of the sport, after Andre Ward stopped Sergey Kovalev in the rematch, Teddy Atlas tells Terrence Crawford and Andre Ward to their face that Vasyl Lomachenko is number 1, the best fighter in the world above them. And just remember, guys, this is coming from a man who said that he had Lomachenko in his top 10 after his first fight. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but Teddy Atlas actually got fired from ESPN when he had a meltdown on air when Manny Pacquiao lost to Jeff Horn. He went ballistic, completely trashing Jeff Horn, talking about how it was such a huge robbery, etc., etc., etc. And see, guys, I want you to understand this. The reason why a lot of these race fans were so upset when Manny Pacquiao lost to Jeff Horn, it's not because they felt that it was this big egregious robbery. They were looking at the bigger picture. People like Teddy Atlas and the rest of the race fans, they knew and understood that Manny Pacquiao losing to Jeff Horn just makes Floyd Mayweather look that much greater. And that is what made them so upset. That's the reason why they refused to accept the fact that Manny Pacquiao lost to Jeff Horn. Let's also not forget, Manny Pacquiao actually turned down a rematch with Jeff Horn. Now just think about that for a second. When you think of all of the greatest fighters of all time, how many of them do you know lost the first fight, felt they were robbed, and then turned down a rematch? Almost none of them. Manny Pacquiao did, just like Julio Cesar Chavez turned down a rematch with Pernell Whitaker. It's also important to note that after that Jeff Horn and Manny Pacquiao fight, the WBO, they had their judges rescore the fight after the fact, and they still had Jeff Horn winning the fight. The reason why that's important to note is because these are the same WBO judges that rescored the Manny Pacquiao versus Tim Bradley fight. And after they rescored that fight, they actually had Manny Pacquiao winning the fight. So once again, they were looking more of the Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather comparison than Manny Pacquiao losing to Jeff Horn. Now let's get back to talking about Shakur Stevenson when it comes to this whole Teddy Atlas situation. You know, Shakur Stevenson, he said a week before the Oscar Valdez fight, he said, when people see what I do to Oscar Valdez, they are going to love me. This fight is going to make me a star. And he said he was going to give the fans what they want. Well, what the fans wanted was to see you lose. In fact, I was talking to Shakur Stevenson's uncle at the time. I believe it's his Uncle Dirt. And I told him, I said, you know, Shakur is telling people, you know, that they're going to love him after he beats Oscar Valdez. But what he doesn't understand is that's going to actually make a lot of these racist fans hate him even more because he becomes a bigger threat. And as predicted, a week after Shakur Stevenson completely dominated Oscar Valdez, Shakur, he went onto his Instagram and he said, why am I receiving so much hate? That's exactly what he said. When Shakur made a video, a live video that he dedicated to me, Shakur Stevenson said that I'm the one that has beef with ESPN because of their pound for pound list, et cetera, et cetera. He said that ain't got nothing to do with me. And just like I said in that video, what are you talking about? This has everything to do with you. In fact, I should be the one saying this ain't got nothing to do with me, because you are the one that Teddy Atlas and the rest of old media is talking about, because you are the biggest threat in the sport of boxing. Because old media hears everyone saying that Shakur is the next Floyd, just like Teddy Atlas was talking about. Yeah, I hear everybody saying that this guy is a new, pound for pound, future pound for pound king, et cetera, et cetera. That's what they're fearing. The fact that you're being compared to Floyd Mayweather, another black fighter that they hate so much, they've been trying their best to prevent a new Floyd Mayweather from emerging. So all that love that Shakur Stevenson is expecting from these fans, the only way you're going to get that love is if you lose, because that's the only thing they want to see from you. These races don't care how much you try to praise Tyson Fury, Canelo Alvarez, and Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez. They only care about you losing. Because as we've seen, right after Shakur Stevenson did all that praising Tyson Fury and Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez, as soon as Shakur Stevenson had his fight, those same fans, they did just what they always do. They completely rooted against Shakur Stevenson. And when I did my post-fight videos for Shakur against Oscar Valdez, Shakur against Consecal, all of those Mexican fans were in the comment section, and the rest of the racist fans were in the comment section trying to discredit Shakur Stevenson's win. None of them had a newfound respect for Shakur because he was praising Tyson Fury the way he did, because he was praising and standing up for Jesse Bam Bam Rodriguez. You can go back and you can watch my post-fight videos. Matter of fact, you could go anywhere on the internet and watch some post-fight videos or posts on Instagram, wherever, about Shakur Stevenson. And you are not going to see any of those non-black fans congratulating Shakur Stevenson at all. Even if Shakur would have knocked out Consecal, Teddy Atlas, he still would not have praised Shakur Stevenson. In fact, that would have enraged him even more, because now, damn, he's even more than a bigger threat than I thought originally, is what Teddy Atlas will be saying to himself. So I'm going to get ready to wrap this video up. I'm starting to fall asleep. But I will say before I end this video, one more point. Shakur Stevenson, he also said when he responded to me, I'm going to start doing my interviews with Fight Hype. What's up? Let's do an interview, like comparing Fight Hype to me. Let me go ahead and make the distinction for you, Shakur. Fans tune in to Fight Hype to hear what the people they're interviewing have to say. People tune into my channel to hear what I have to say, which often includes me fighting for fighters like Shakur Stevenson to get the actual credit that he deserves, exposing these double standards and speaking the whole truth unapologetically, no matter how much resistance I deal with from the racists. That's all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.
Fellas, I've got some great news for you. If you've lost your hair or have a receding hairline, the time has come when you can finally get your hairline back through a process called scalp micropigmentation. So here's how it works. It's a hair tattoo that replicates the look of your hair follicles when you have fully shaved it down. So to get this hookup, make sure you follow and contact my man Scalp Carolinas on Instagram. All right, now check this out, guys. If you're looking to repair eczema scars, burns and bruises, dark spots and blemishes,
Fever blisters, diabetic ulcers.
this right here is the perfect product for you guys. It's called Elo Diki Face and Body Oil. Athletes and top-ranking boxers, they're also using it after training to reduce swelling, inflammation, and to ease the pain. So get yours today. Go to elodiki.com.
Like them on Facebook and follow them on Instagram.
Let me tell you guys about Issa Israel Law Firm. It is a full-service legal practice based in Denver, Colorado, an emerging hub for combat sports and high-altitude training. If you're a fighter inside or outside of the ring and you need a law firm you can trust to fight for you, visit thefighterfirm.com or email help@iilawfirm.com. Legal representation is usually limited to plaintiffs or defendants in Colorado.
but iFirm can help anyone in the world with trademarking their business name, logos, and U.S. immigration issues. This brother has been my attorney for a while and helped guide me through all kinds of business and civil issues, so make sure you guys go to thefighterfirm.com.